Welcome into FedEx Forum. It's Friday night NBA action. Two of the hottest teams in the NBA will be on this court right here at FedEx Forum tonight. Friday night, Memphis Grizzlies continue their four-game homestand by hosting the red-hot surging Cleveland Cavaliers. Right here tonight, I'm Mike Wallace with Grind City Media, joined, as always, by my guy, Jon Roser. Check us out on all of our Grind City Media content all day long. I mean, Roser's on every single show there. Check out my written pieces and everything else from there. And shout out to Lang Whitaker. He's on his way back. Lang will be back pretty soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His rest and recovery process is almost complete.
I hear
he's almost like Jaren Jackson Jr. Right?
I hear questionable for tomorrow night.
Questionable for tomorrow night. Yes, absolutely. But what isn't in question is that this is going to be a big-time atmosphere, a big-time game right here at FedEx Forum as the Grizzlies coming off that 122-115 win Wednesday over the Utah Jazz to win their fourth straight game and to prove to 2-0 on this current four-game homestand. Now they face the hottest team, Roser, in the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 15 in a row, the sixth team in NBA history to have multiple 15-game winning streaks in the same season. The Cavaliers also beat the Grizzlies this time last month, 129-123 on February 23rd up in Cleveland. Big news, Jaren Jackson Jr. was just out here warming up a few minutes ago. It looks like he's going to try to give it a go. The word still isn't official yet, so we'll see. We'll get to that in the injury report. But when you look at the Grizzlies, Roser, what have you seen during this homestand so far? 4 straight wins, including 2 right here in this building.
You know, a lot of them they've all been pretty close there at the end. So I think they've been by any means. However you got to get it done, you got to get it done. I think the biggest thing is John Moran has showed up in the fourth quarter. He missed 2 free throws in the last one, but he hit both of his 3-point attempts in that fourth quarter win over the Utah Jazz. We saw what he did in Dallas in the fourth quarter. We saw what he did in New Orleans in the fourth quarter, and we saw what he did against the Phoenix Suns in the fourth quarter. John Morant showing up and being that guy in the fourth quarter, that has been the difference. By the way, Jaren's playing tonight. Cardi dropped his album today. Jaren's playing tonight. Jaren's not going to not play the day Cardi drops I Am Music.
Hey, well, he's going to have to because this is a big-time back-to-back right here. And we know Jaren he's missed the last 5 games with an ankle issue, an ankle sprain right there, a grade 2 ankle sprain. About 2 weeks out. It was week to week. It's been about a 2-week time frame in terms of him being out. The Grizzlies are also going to be facing the Cavs team that are going to be without their all-star in Donovan Mitchell. This will be Donovan's second straight game. He's sitting out. Kenny Atkinson talked about it just being sort of injury maintenance right now with the groin issue. They don't want to risk anything with them playing so well a month outside of the playoffs. But Jaren Jackson Jr. should be on the mound. You're saying he's going to be back. We'll give you the official word.
No, yeah, we don't have official word. This is me. This is me saying I know Jaren's a big Playboy Cardi fan. We've been waiting 5 years for Playboy Cardi to drop I Am Music. He dropped it today.
And Jaren's had a nice fit. He had a great warm-up.
Jaren's not missing this game.
Everything he does.
He's got to there's a get back on Evan Mobley. Jaren was in foul trouble in that first game.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley, if you were being honest, head-to-head, Evan Mobley outplayed him in that first matchup right there in Cleveland. This is a get-back game.
It's a get-back game, but he also needs to get back to his rhythm, get back to his win. That's also going to be important. But Taylor Jenkins talked pregame about the challenge that the Grizzlies face going against the Cleveland Cavaliers this time. Last month, the Cavs were without Darius Garland. This time they're without Donovan Mitchell. What are some of the factors that go into matching up against this Cleveland team? Even though those guys are interchangeable, they're still a challenge to face no matter who's in the lineup. Here's Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, no, definitely unique in their own rights, but, you know, how they utilize them, obviously, when they're both on the floor, I mean, they're stellar offense, and even with just one of those guys on the floor, they're stellar offense, and their bench gave us a lot of problems, you know, last game with Jerome, so we got to account for him as well and all the shooting that they got, but, you know, Garland, you know, aggressive, you know, score, you know, ball in his hands in a lot of different situations, whether it's transition game, ISO breakdown games. He's a really good facilitator. He's a 3-level scorer. He's got a really good touch in the mid-range and the floater game. Then he obviously is really lethal from the 3-point line. So dynamic guard. He's going to get a lot of attention obviously tonight, but I give them a lot of credit, and Kenny's done a phenomenal job. Just how they play great collective basketball with multiple screening actions on the ball, dribble handoffs that keep the engine running. You know, terminology that we use. You know, when we're scouting them, and you know, I thought we did a pretty good job overall. Obviously Mitchell had a great game. In the first matchup, it was the rebounding that really hurt us. I mean, giving up 32 second chance points, that's a whole quarter in the NBA, and we lost by just a couple of possessions. So we can't have that same script tonight. We got to be dialed in on keeping them off balance, keeping Garland off balance, account for Jerome, but also the stellar shooting, and then their bigs, how they play dynamic in the pick and roll, and pretty good playmakers in their own right too.
As Taylor talked about, man, Darius Garland is capable of keeping the engine running. Roser, the Cavs are coming off of a 109-104 victory at Brooklyn on Tuesday. They had a couple of days off. I'll get into what they did in a few minutes, though. But without Donovan Mitchell, this team is still 5-0 this season. They have not lost a game yet, and even though they were missing Donovan Mitchell, their leading scorer. So they do have the depth and everything that it takes. They could also set a new franchise record for consecutive victories. If they get a win here, it'll be 16 in a row. That's the first time that the franchise has done that. They're also, we know, ranked number 1 in scoring right there, ranked number 1 in three-point percentage at almost 40%, and they're number 2 in both field goal percentage and total three-pointers made. I can go on and on and on about what Cleveland has done well all season long, but one of the things that Kenny Atkinson said is that they also needed to break up the monotony of what can happen during an 82-game NBA season. They didn't just come directly to Memphis. They made a pit stop in Nashville, Roser. Spent a couple of days there. Darius Garland is from that area. He took them to Vanderbilt, his alma mater. They played football. They did a lot of different team bonding issues and things of that nature before they came over here to Memphis for tonight's game. Here's Atkinson on what it took to sort of break up the monotony of the NBA schedule.
Kobe's a great driver in these things, and that was one of the things we talked about. In the beginning of the season, man, the season's so long, and it's how do we keep our guys fresh? How do we keep them engaged? And what can we do, differently? And not just typical team building thing, but this little side trip we took. Started with training camp, doing that at IMG. I don't know. And I do feel it a little bit right now with our guys. Like there's a little bit of like, man, this is again we're a little bit of monotony is setting in. So it was perfect timing for the trip. Like I said, guys had a good time, but we also got some work in them.
Roser, the Cavaliers are clearly in championship or bust mode at this point with 55 wins against only 10 losses. They have a chance to have a magical season. What we know about tonight's storylines, though, these are the top 2 scoring offenses in the NBA. Cleveland averages 122.7. The Grizzlies are at 122.6. And, when you look at what you're expecting to see, is that going to be a track meet, or do these teams dictate via defense?
I think we're probably going to get a track meet. I think for the Grizzlies, when you see no Donovan Mitchell and you see Darius Garland, 8 career games. Well, Garland this year is 21 points, about 7 assists. He's almost 48 from the field. He's over 41% from 3 on 7 attempts. Against the Grizzlies in his career, he's played 8 games. He's 18 points. He's 9 assists, so the assists are up. But he's 40% from the field, 35.5% from 3. So the field goal percentage and the three-point percentage have come down. I think Garland is a guy you can target defensively. He's a smaller point guard. You can go at him. I think the Grizzlies, they need to go at him tonight. I don't think we're going to get a super defensive game. I think we're going to get a game kind of like we had last time. I think you're looking at in the 120s. I think that's the kind of game that you could be looking at tonight here at FedEx Forum.
Okay, what we need to look at, though, as we look at Zach Edey getting warmed up, as Taylor Jenkins said, this is going to be about rebounding. The Cavaliers annihilated the Grizzlies on the offensive glass, 22 offensive rebounds in that game last month in Cleveland that led to 31 second chance points. And when you talk about that, Zach Edey's going to have to be a big-time presence going up against Cleveland's double bigs when you talk about Mobley and Allen. I mean, those guys are all-stars. They're all-world in terms of being able to be effective on both ends of the floor. How important will rebounding be in Zach Edey's presence tonight?
Well, it's going to be a massive deal. Zach Edey, they got destroyed the other night on the glass against the Utah Jazz.
Yes.
The Grizzlies did, and I think a part of it is Zach Edey. Zach Edey is that when he's in there, he needs to rebound, and especially on the offensive glass. Now, he did his part on the offensive glass in that game against Cleveland, had 8 offensive rebounds. The defensive rebounding, definitely, though, that has to be better. Jaren Jackson Jr. has to contribute contribute to that if he is able to go tonight. It's going to have to be, we've seen with this Grizzlies team, there's not that just one dominant rebounder. It's got to be by committee. A bunch of these guys are going to have to get in there and really crash the glass. If you crash the glass, you get your rebounds. That allows you to get out in transition. That allows you to get easy buckets.
Oh, no question about it. Now, nothing has been easy when it comes to the Grizzlies facing the elite teams in the NBA. Before we take a break right here, Roser, we're going to talk about this. The Grizzlies are back in the number 2 spot in the West. They're tied with Denver right now. One game separates 4 teams from 2 to 5. But when you look at the Grizzlies right now, they're 5-14. As former Cleveland Cavalier guard Brevin Knight, drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round 30, 40, 50 years ago. But the Grizzlies are 5-14 this season against Cleveland, Boston, Oklahoma City, Denver, the Knicks, the Lakers, Houston, and Golden State. Those are the teams with the top 8 records in the NBA. Yep. This is a big game hunting type opportunity. Can they get it done and reel in this big fish, even though the Cavaliers are going to be shorthanded?
I think they can, but the Cavaliers were shorthanded last time, and the Cavaliers came out on top, and Desmond Bane had a poor shooting night. They can do it. They didn't have Garland in that game. Now they don't have Mitchell in this game. Now they can do it. What sums it up is that last game. Vince Williams, wide open 3, misses. Zach Edey, offensive rebound, kicks it out to Kennard, wide open 3, misses. Zach Edey grabs the offensive rebound again, kicks it out to a wide open Desmond Bane, who misses a wide open 3. And that kind of sums up how it's just been against the Grizzlies, for the Grizzlies against some of the elite competition in the NBA. They can get over the hump. They will get over the hump tonight. The Grizzlies are going to win this. And if people are going to take them serious in the NBA, they need to win this game.
No question about it. Before we get out of here and take our first break, the injury update, as we said, Jaren Jackson Jr. is questionable. He looks probable, and he's probably going to play. We'll be surprised if he doesn't, but we'll wait till the last official word comes in. Santi Aldama is out, continuing with their calf soreness, and the Cavs, they'll be without Donovan Mitchell, as we said, and DeAndre Hunter is probable with an illness, so he's probably going to play tonight. When we come back, we'll get with Jessica Benson on the main character. I think we're going to know who that is, and so much more on the warm-up as the Grizzlies get set to face the NBA leading Cleveland Cavaliers.
You've coached a lot of different versions of the SEC, and obviously there's never been one deeper than this. What's it like been coaching in this?
The reason for the league being so good is the commitment. Commitment to coaching, commitment to facilities, commitment to the NIL across the board. There is not anybody in our league that's not investing in all those things.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
We had big classic news from the Southern Heritage Classic last week when it was announced Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alcorn State will be the 2 Classic participants.
Being a part of the Classic is a big deal. It's the 3rd year for UAPB and the 1st year for Alcorn. So I'm just glad we were able to get it done.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Back to FedEx Forum Friday night, big time game. The all eyes in the NBA will be right here on this matchup tonight between the Memphis Grizzlies and and the Cleveland Cavaliers, winners of 15 straight. The Grizzlies have won 4 straight and are 2-0 on this homestand right now, so something's got to give. And the Grizzlies owe the Cavaliers a little bit of a payback after losing by 6 points, 2 possessions last month up in Cleveland. They played that game pretty hard despite some rebounding issues that they faced in that game. Joined now by Jessica Benson from the Jessica Benson Show for our favorite segment of the warm-up, the main character. I didn't even have to look at the sheet this time to get the main character right. Jessica, you could go a number of different ways. We know there's no Donovan Mitchell tonight for the Cavaliers. Jaren Jackson Jr. is trending towards what looks like being available tonight, and he hadn't played in the last 5 games. But I'm not going to put characters in your mouth. I want you to come up with your own characters. What is the main character going into tonight's game?
Well, I'm diversifying my character portfolio because I'm going to hop on FanDuel TV. It's Women's Empowerment Night here at FedEx Forum, so I'm doing a bunch of different hits. And my main character over there is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers in their totality. And I think it's very fair to make that a main character. Sometimes the guest star is the main character, and this is the best team in the NBA right now. But I was hoping we would have an official word on Jaren Jackson Jr. by the time that I sat down. Taylor Jenkins calling him a true game-time decision. But I just watched him and Brandon Clark warming up, and they were jumping, they were dancing, they were high energy. I would be shocked at this point if Jaren is not good to go tonight. And that's huge for Jaren to come back as he starts to embark on making sure he gets to that 65-game mark where he would be eligible for postseason awards. And you can't tell me it doesn't mean a little bit more when the other player who is a frontrunner for Defensive Player of the Year is Evan Mobley for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mobley got a little bit of the best of Jaren in that game in Cleveland, so this would be an opportunity to come out and make a statement. And again, to show Jaren is the anchor of this defense, and it has been shown over the course of the 5 games when he hasn't played. You've seen a step back from this Grizzlies defense. He's so critical for their utmost success, and so I look forward to seeing what that return looks like.
And that's going to be important too, but it's also going to be important that as you incorporate or reincorporate Jaren Jackson Jr. into the mix, that John Morant doesn't take too much of a step back with his aggressiveness. He's averaged 29 points and 8 assists during this 5-game stretch that Jaren has been out. The Grizzlies went 4-1, and he's been the closer. He's been the setup guy. He's been just about everything in terms of the offense. How does Ja sort of help Jaren find his way back into a rhythm without having to sacrifice too much of his own game?
We've seen an increase in pick-and-roll action for Ja, and I would love to see that with him and Jaren Jackson Jr. And if you look back just to that first game against the Suns, the overtime victory, we saw 20-plus points from Ja Morant, from Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane. That's the formula. If you have all 3 of those guys operating at that level, and I know it took 151 points to beat the Suns that night, but that's the secret sauce, or the not-so-secret sauce, I should say. And we've seen it in years past. I know this offense is different, but figuring out a way for those 3 to carry this team, and then you get contributions from someone like a Luke Kennard to see how he's able to come off of his 30-point game the other night. I know we don't have Santi Aldama out tonight, but can Vince Williams Jr. step up? Can Gigi Jackson have a breakout? Can Jalen Wells come out of this little bit of a rookie shooting slump that he's been? But it all comes to those 3. And so how Jaren, how Ja, how Des operate as a trio will be one of the biggest things to watch the rest of this way.
That's going to be key, too, because you do have presumably all 3 of those guys available. But this game, even going back to Cleveland last month, it was about the others. Ty Jerome absolutely annihilated the Grizzlies in that 4th quarter. Came off the bench and just knocked down 3s. The Grizzlies need some guys like that to be ready, too. Maybe it's Jalen Wells. Maybe it's Cam Spencer, who we just saw warming up a second ago, getting some spot duty minutes. We'll see how the rotation tweaks, but the Grizzlies will have, except for Santi Aldama, pretty much all hands on deck. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. We're going to look out for your main character, Jessica, as we go into this big-time game tonight, the Grizzlies versus the Cavaliers. And when we come back, we'll have DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal to tell us about what he's seeing from the Grizzlies as they get set for this big-time matchup with a back-to-back to close out this homestand when we come back to the warm-up.
Tony Allen, the grandfather, Mr. First Team himself.
How would you describe Tony Allen?
To be honest, there's a very few people in the league that I know that are real dudes. It's not many. And I know one when I see one, and he's one of them.
I wanted it to be known that I'm the best defender in the league.
Allen takes the ball away from him.
Tony Allen is the toughest defender I've ever had to go against.
You gotta love how this guy works relentlessly to battle one of the elite scorers in the NBA.
He is a disruptor out there. We all know that when he would match up with you, you're in for a long night.
The true competitive nature of people like that, it comes from the environment that you grow up in.
Not a lot of people walked a mile in Tony's shoes.
Chicago is going to test you. I was a product of my environment. Let's just say that.
All I hear is bullets flying past my head.
My life could have been taken from me at the age of 16.
There was no one better in terms of playing with toughness. He fit in real well.
The Boston Celtics select Tony Allen.
I just saw how hard he was. I was like, damn.
And I'm a champion right now.
We blew it. He should have never been a Grizzly.
That's just our heart. Grit, grind.
Who he was who the Grizzlies were.
I think coming to Memphis, I kind of found the home. I'm going to go all the way out for what I'm riding with.
First team all defense.
And what I'm riding with is the Grizzlies.
The countdown is here. We're only a game away, a night away from Tony Allen jersey retirement night, the night when that number 9 first team all defense goes right up here into the rafters to join his core 4 teammates, Mark Gasol and Zach Randolph. Mike Conley, whenever he decides to hang it up, is going to join those guys too. And joining me right now on the warm-up show is DeMichael Cole, beat writer for the NBA and the Grizzlies for the Commercial Appeal. DeMichael, we're still waiting the official word, the final ticks of this countdown for availability, but we anticipate Jaren being available. If not tonight, then obviously tomorrow. So he is available. Word just came in that Jaren is available tonight, which is what we all expected. Now that Jaren's back, how do you work him in, considering how well Jon Morant has been playing?
Yeah, that's kind of the tough part, right? You got to figure out that. Like, Jon's been playing his best basketball in a while.
Yes.
And it's because, he's had to be more aggressive. He's had to score more. He's had to, get downhill more. He's had a little bit more space, whatever the case may be. So, and the ball isn't, it's either him or Des for the most part, kind of carrying the load over this recent stretch. So now you work Jaren back into that. And it's two ways to look at it. I think the way that I've kind of looked at it is Jaren played, 57, 59 games in a row.
Yes.
I think it was. So you're talking about a guy who was available and been in the lineup so much that he isn't one of those guys where it's going to be hard to kind of re-implement him into the lineup. I think Ja just has to focus on, hey, I'm still going to be aggressive. I'm still going to get downhill. I'm still going to go to the basket. I'm still going to try to make sure that I factor in those mid-range jumpers, the floater, and things like that to kind of keep the defense honest. And I think that Jaren, we've seen him get downhill and do those things, but he's also, he's taking a lot of three-pointers as well.
Yeah.
So they can mix and match decently well. But that's definitely going to be something to watch today. How well does Ja Morant play with Jaren back in the lineup and how they work out that dynamic?
And Des finding his spots too, to give them those relief buckets and that spacing that both of them going to need because of his three-point shooting. Kennard is coming off of a season high, career-tying 30-point game. Last time out here against the Utah Jazz, including a bucket right here in this, 2 buckets in this corner. One that put the Grizzlies ahead that rolled around the rim, it seemed like forever, and another one on a 4-point play. Kennard is one of these guys. He's playing against his home state team, so he's going to come in motivated as well too. I look at it like this: when you look at Luke Kennard or Ty Jerome, like the Grizzlies have to be able to offset. They have to have another of the others to step up.
Ty Jerome won that game last time.
Yes, he did.
It was his play in the fourth quarter. I mean, it looked like he couldn't miss for a while. And the Grizzlies need that firepower as well. Of course, another part of having Jaren back is you are going to be afforded the fact that you can have Jaren, Des, or Ja in the game at all times, right? So there is going to be that layer of you have one of your most dependable guys in the game at all times. But the way that Luke Kennard played the other day, I think I asked him after the game, is how do you maintain that aggressiveness? Because that's what everybody wants to see, right? He took 9 3-pointers. He was seeking his shot out. But it's a combination of things. It's also his teammates finding him as well. So it goes back to, how aggressive will Ja Morant be? How aggressive will Desmond Bane be? Because a lot of times when all 3 of those guys are on the floor, you look up at Des' stats at halftime, he has 5 shot attempts. And you're like, we want, but you haven't seen much of that lately. Des has been really getting to it. He's been really aggressive. So those guys, the way how aggressive they play will play into Luke Kennard's game, because Luke Kennard, he's not going to have the ball in his hands as much now with all 3 of those guys into the fold. So he's going to get his shots based off of what they can do as creators.
Yeah, as this is going to be about, to me as well, as we knocked out all of those points that go into this game. It's going to be about rebounding and preventing second chance opportunities. This Cleveland Cavalier front line with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are just, I mean, they're unstoppable, guys. Those guys are interchangeable. They're unstoppable. They're relentless on both ends of the floor. The Grizzlies are going to have to understand that it's going to be difficult getting all the way to the rim against these guys. So what do you do in order to, find a second gear to try to get them loosened up defensively?
Well, you got to realize every defense gives you something. Now, it's usually going to be something that you're not great at, but what the Grizzlies have done is a great job of facilitating, creating a roster where they have guys who have advantages at every level. Like you look at something like the mid-range jumper. It's not a strength for Ja. Jaren doesn't go to it a lot because he just goes all the way to the basket. But Dez is one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA this season. So with a defense like Cleveland, they're going to focus on taking away the three-point shot. They're also going to focus on, hey, look, you want to score at the rim? We got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley down there waiting on you. But there's a sweet spot right in the middle where Desmond Bain so happens to be the one guy who has been one of the most efficient players with the mid-range shot this season. So he could be big with that shot as well.
That 8-foot to 13-foot area, right around the dotted line, all the way out to the top of the free throw line. That's the area right there where the Grizzlies are going to have to operate. We've seen Ja get a little more comfortable in that area as well, too. Great points. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael, man, I know you're on it. You got your laptop up right over here, ready to fire off the next tweet and the next story. Thanks a lot for joining us on the warm-up.
Anytime.
When we come back, Jon Roser is going to rejoin us as we wrap up with our final thoughts and jump around the league for a couple of quick seconds as well to get you caught up on everything right before tip-off of the Grizzlies versus the Cleveland Cavaliers right here on the warm-up.
Number 9, man. I'm going to be ready and hype. Let's just going to be hype. My banner going to be up right next to my brothers, Zevo, Big Spain. It's a great feeling, man. Never imagined this. I didn't think this would ever be a thing, and it's one of the biggest days of my life. I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome back in as we wrap up the warm-up. We're all warmed up, man. We started off with the jump ball in our social media promotion of tonight's show, and now we're ready for tip-off in a little bit more than 30 minutes. We're going to send you over to all of our pregame shows, both on radio and on TV. But before we do that, like we always do about this time, says my guy, our guys when it comes to the warm-up show, man, Lang Whitaker. We're going to run around the league. Last night, Steph Curry made the 4,000th three-pointer
40,000 would
his
be
career.
wild.
First NBA player to ever get past 4,000. Man, when you saw that, Roser, what did you think when you saw Steph Curry knock down that three, and then he reached a threshold that might not ever get touched again?
Well, it really may not, because when you look at how far ahead he is of James Harden, who is number 2, and you see where they are in their careers, and it is, well, Curry looks like he's got a lot more left in the tank. Not that Harden doesn't. He's still a fantastic player, was an all-star. But
he's about 870 three-pointers ahead of him.
Right,
and they're both 35 plus.
Steph Curry still shows, hey, if I want to go out and knock down a bunch of threes, I can go out and knock down a bunch of threes. So, and no, it's amazing. Everybody that comes across Steph Curry loves him and swears by the guy. So, no question. No, awesome to see. One of the best players to ever play, and he's definitely the best shooter to ever play the game.
And they've won 9 out of 10, man. Those guys, they're lurking, man. They can jump into that top 4 mix.
Awesome. They can go into any playoff series and say, we got Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Who do you got?
And we got a shot, and we're playing our best basketball. Happy birthday today to Grizzlies forward Marvin Bagley III. He celebrated his 26th birthday today. This is a guy that was picked up at the trade deadline. He's still trying to find his way. This was a former number 2 overall pick in that 2018 draft. What can Marvin do? He's had some injury issues. He's bounced around a little bit. What can he do to sort of solidify himself and salvage his career? He's on an expiring contract with the Grizzlies, so we'll see where it goes from there.
I think, staying healthy is a big part of it, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about injuries, but, I think staying healthy, and I think being a pick and roll big man, set the pick, roll to the basket, lob threat, And then defense, be a guy who can switch and get out on shooters. I think he's athletic enough to be able to do some of that. I think that's where he can really find himself a long-term role in the league. Sometimes it's tough for a guy who's used to being, I average 20, 25 points a game in college, and now I've got to play this kind of role. And when you're not used to being it, it can be tough. But I think if Marvin Bagley can develop into that, I think he's got a shot at sticking for a long time.
I mean, he still has something left to prove. He talked about it. He said he's learning a lot from Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
And he went 2 spots before Jaren got picked. So that's a remarkable relationship that's building right here for the Memphis Grizzlies. Roser, we're out of time, man. The warm-up now shifts over to our FanDuel Sports Network pregame show, where you can catch Rob Fisher, Pete Pranica, Brevin Knight, and Chris Verning starting now on FanDuel Sports Network. And you can also catch the 92.9 radio broadcast, where Eric Hasseltine, Jessica Benson, Elliot Perry, Bennett Doyle, and Jon Roser will have you from jump ball all the way to the post-game show. For Jon Roser, I'm Michael Wallace. It's Grizzlies versus Cavs. Somebody's streak has to end tonight. Let's hope the Grizzlies can make it 5 in a row. You've joined us on the warm-up. Thanks a lot for joining us, and catch us back tomorrow at this same time for Tony Allen Jersey Retirement Night. It's the warm-up show.
All right.